and I've got them backed up. I just haven't, technology. So anyway, so yeah. Anyway, the thing with what I'd like to do is just help people not get them in trouble, make things easier for them.
Okay.
Sometimes we can make a mistake and cost a lot of time.
Yeah.
You guys ready to rock and roll?
Ready.
Okay, cool. I will admit everyone. And then actually for some of those files, I'll still take a minute to grab them. So we'll wait a few minutes
I
before we
thought
get into it.
the Fandrick and those links would be good uh, for people to, they want to go to Jan for felts,
Okay.
certain specialty orders, the Fandrick key weight bench system.
Okay. And that's
like
in your
that,
messages, right?
Yeah, and also in Lloyd's, they got an excellent website. So I just
Cool.
put a couple of screenshots there. You can put that up.
Perfect. Sounds good.
So,
Yeah, I got to take a minute to gather those, but we'll put them up after we
Sure.
get started.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to let everybody in and we'll say hello.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Wow.
Welcome. Welcome to Piano Tech Radio Hour. We'll let you all filter in here for a minute before we get started. We've got a couple of guests today. Very exciting and some knowledgeable folks, someone we've had before and someone new. So very exciting for today. And yeah, you're all still filtering in here a little bit, but not too well. Here we go. We got a couple jumping in. I'll pull up my little blurb I say at the end here, at the beginning here, so you know where we're all at. So of course, this is Piano Tech Radio Hour, which is sponsored by Piano Technicians Masterclasses. And Piano Technicians Masterclasses is an online educational resource that offers you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. You can find out more at www.pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. And I will say this, we have not figured out all the details of it yet, but I'll say this up front. It's sort of
you got it.
A bit unrelated, but I think very important. So few of you may know, we have a team of people that are working behind the scenes to help support this project. I've had various young and enthusiastic people assisting us throughout the globe, from places as far as, China, London, UK, Israel, Turkey, Africa, India, and they've really done a great job helping us. And in particular, we have a couple of really integral members on our team from India. And as you may have heard or may not have heard, the COVID situation in India is pretty terrible right now. It's very difficult for them. And so luckily, the people that are on our team, I think, are relatively safe, but I don't know the details about their friends and loved ones, and I know it's very difficult. So we started this project at the beginning of the pandemic to help support mostly, we're centered in the United States, but people all over the world kind of get through a difficult time. So what I'm going to do, I don't have a link right now, but I'll send out an email probably this week with a way for us to all help support the efforts in India for them to help deal with the COVID situation right now. And I'll try to integrate something special, like, if you donate, you can get a discount on PTM lectures, or maybe get a PTM lecture and portion goes to the nonprofits in India that are helping out. If you have any good ideas, let me know, but I'll try to do something that everybody can win, and we can also help out for people that are having difficulties there. So having said that up front, I'll move on to introduce our guests for today. And we have Wayne Ferguson, who's been with us before, who's an illustrious Canadian piano technician who has a cool workshop out of his garage there and an interesting operation out of his home. He's storing some really unique pianos, as well as working for some of the world's most illustrious artists and having relationships with excellent brands that we've all heard of. And he has brought with him today a friend of his, Chip Meyer. And I'm gonna let maybe Wayne introduce Chip, or Chip introduce himself as we move forward. And so why don't I turn it over to Wayne first? And Wayne, if there's anything I missed that you wanted to add about yourself, feel free. And then maybe tell us a little bit about Chip. And then Chip, if Wayne misses anything, you could tell us about
Sounds
you.
good.
Yeah,
Okay, that's great. Hello, everyone. I think it looks like there's about 50 on here. That's fantastic. Well, anyway, so I've been in business for about, I think 40 years. I think that's just as long as Chip has been in business. I actually think that I may have met Chip going back in the early 70s when I used to go to Chicago for all these NAMM shows, because I know Chip was involved in the very beginning with a lot of different musical instrument companies. He has quite a long history there. I just wanted to talk about the last couple of months. I've been doing a lot of restoration work, and I've been replacing some parts in some pianos. And I just wanted to share some stories to help you guys, if you're doing any restoration work, how to make things easier, maybe keep out of trouble. Sometimes we can make mistakes, and it can take us a day to sort of backtrack on what we were doing. And
we never make mistakes here in this community. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I have a sign on my wall behind me. It says, "If all else fails, lower your standards." So it's I don't use that very often, but it can be challenging sometimes. So I started in the piano business about 1985. I went to school for 2 years, did a training program. I came out of that program thinking I knew it all, and I didn't, but I thought I did at the time. I remember within the first 6 months, I was doing my first job. I had a customer that had a Steinway B, and I decided I was going to put a new set of hammers. They were totally chewed up. And I ordered a set of Albo hammers, and I put them on that piano. And it didn't feel right to me. I didn't know what was wrong at the time. And the customer said she had a hard time playing it. It's just a coincidence that I had gone to PTG seminar. I can't recall where it was right now. But I remember going to the Steinway booth. And at the time, there's a gentleman there named Henry Steinway. And he, I was asking him some questions about this issue that I had to get some advice. He said, "Just a minute, I'm going to get someone to come talk to you." And he brought a gentleman up. He was quite an elderly gentleman. I think his name was maybe Fred. And he had been with Steinway forever. And I think he was 80 plus years old. And I had told him what I had done, the problem I was having. And he kind of yelled at me. I kind of felt it was yelling. He said, "You can't put a set of Albo hammers on a Steinway action, especially accelerated action. That's going to be way too heavy. Either you have to take them off and put a set of proper Steinway hammers on there, and that'll fix the problem." So I took his advice. About 2 months later, ended up doing all that and get it sorted out. But that was kind of a mistake I made at the time, not realizing, when we change some of these parts, you're going to have some sort of change in the touch weight, unless we're really careful. So part of this is to talk about what I do to try to keep myself out of trouble and to make an improvement if I can. What I've found in my business over the years, a lot of pianos I go to, there's always issues with touch weight. all the time I'm seeing pianos that are rebuilt. Touch weight is on average 58, sometimes up to 68. I've seen stuff up to 72. I've seen really uneven touch weight on actions. And I thought that there's probably every now and then there's some technicians that do some work and maybe don't get the right part on. I don't realize what the problem is. So, so I just wanted to go do a little bit of an overview on what I did to try to make things correct and not having any problems. So years ago, I don't know when it was that Steinway had this new idea that you ordered a part from them, and I don't know when they started this. I haven't been able to find out. Genuine Steinway parts. And if the seal is broken, it's not genuine Steinway. So I don't know what year they started that. Maybe we'll have someone in a minute that will can answer that question. And also, there's going to be we're going to talk have some information about debunking some of these rumors and ideas we had or we hear about. So anyway, the issue is, we can spend a lot of time getting these parts, and even though we're getting the right parts, sometimes there's still issues. So what I've done today I don't have a Steinway action, but I have this old action from 1922 Emerson upright piano. It was a wreck, and I did new key tops. I have soda blasted here, so I soda blasted everything. It looks new now, and I happen to have some used Steinway Whippens that I put on here. I also have some used Yamaha action parts that I put on the hammers. So I did a bunch of geometry changes, made it all work. So on this piano, there's Steinway Whippens, angled, and on here, there's Yamaha hammers. And it works perfectly. It sounds quite good in the piano. I did a lot of voicing on it. Everything is working properly. Now, there was a lot of work doing this because the old parts were just direct, not even, when I got the piano, there's no strings on it. So I had to sort of set up some samples. So before I was doing this, I was going to have the piano generally working. And this is what I would normally do if I'm going to receive new parts. I'll take the parts. First off, I'll make sure that the action is working properly. I want to make sure there's let off drop on all these sample notes, on the 12 notes throughout. I do samples on each section and through the bass, but also in the middle. So what I'm doing is I'm doing these samples first. So I'm regulating the piano to making these samples work properly. So once this is working and I'm happy with it, I can put it back in the piano. Okay, everything's good. What's going on with the let off screws? Are they being buried? Do I have enough room for the let off? Are they, sometimes we have issues where you need more travel, you can't get any more out of it. So these are issues where I want to make sure this is working good first with these samples. I do this when I'm replacing hammer assembly. I also do the same thing when I'm doing Whippens. In my opinion, doing Whippens is a lot more work than the replacing hammer assemblies. I think hammer assemblies is easy. But I think the main thing for me is, and what I'm recommending is, sometimes I get a new job, I'm anxious to get all the parts off. I want to rip them all off and I want to put them all on. And I've done that a couple of times in the early years. And man, I was in piano land trying to find some sort of normal regulation, it just was gone. And I had to spend days trying to make everything work. So I learned my lesson. I won't do that anymore. This has got to be correct first, all these samples. Once that's correct, then I got a guideline to go on. From there, I can take everything else off, leave the samples on, and start putting new ones in. And I'll start working close to the samples on the left and right of each one. And I take my time. I'll go back and do that again. But one thing I will do before I start.
Can I introduce a question here?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Looks like a relatively quick one. Dorothy asks, what are angled whippings?
Oh, good question. Well, how about I will let Lloyd actually answer that question in just a minute, because I have Lloyd, so he can answer that question.
Perfect.
So and it's very important, because you want to make sure you're using the right part for the piano. If it's not right, you're going to have a geometry issue, whether it's going to be the capstan's not meeting the whip and heel cloth. You're making an adjustment, but you're noticing, gee, the drop screw is being buried to get anything done. A lot of screws are all the way up, and I can't really get regulation happening, right? Sometimes that can be a problem if the hammer bore and the hammer is not correct. So that could be an issue. So sometimes trying to figure what the issue is. But what I will do is I will get the old parts off, and I will weigh them. I have a Fandruk weight bench system over here, and I have scales. And also I have a miniature scale, which I will use in a customer's home, key weights. I'll do a quick analysis of the key weight throughout. But what I do is I take the parts off that I received, or the new parts, and I will weigh them. So I take the samples off and I weigh them. I want to know how many grams they are. And then I want to weigh the new part. Are they heavier? Are they lighter? I want to take that into account. I also, if I get a new part, I'm going to check quality control. All the parts are coming with high quality control aspects. You get little pieces of paper when your parts come from Renner. These are the papers that you receive with all the quality control. And they have them numbered, whereas whipping number one is stamped. I think it's 41, 42, and 88. All the other ones aren't numbered. But what I do is I'll take a fine lead pencil and I'll write on each one everything in order, right out of the box. I don't want to just get everything mixed up. So I will number all the other ones, make sure everything is numbered all the way along. And I take my time with this. I don't, I look at what's the samples are on. I check that I have, how is the travel twisting spacing, how is the alignment for the whip-in. I want to travel the whip-in. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. So once I spend more time on these samples, it'll have big payoff in the end. I had a technician years ago calling me that he was trying to find the right regulation. And I says, well, what are you working with? He says, I took everything off and put everything back on, all new. He says, I'm just totally lost. And I said, well, you're going to have to take some of the old parts off, try to find where you were, and then set some samples. So he got it sorted out, but he wasted a lot of time. I've wasted a lot of time too. So it's important to make the right decision.